The Christ Letters, Narration and Text. Foreword. First, I would like to explain why I have used the title of Recorder in place of my real name. There was never the slightest doubt in my mind whilst writing these letters that they emanated from Christ. I have described my reasons for being so sure of this in my short biography. During the writing of the letters, I was clearly told to leave myself out of the picture, that Christ's letters must stand entirely on their own. People must decide for themselves whether the letters rang true or whether people felt they were fake. I had written down what I had received. I would try to get them out for public scrutiny, and whatever happened after that was strictly between the reader of the letters and Christ consciousness. Christ promised in the letters that they would form a link between the reader's mind and Christ's mind, and help would be given in understanding the deep meaning hidden behind the words. Many people have reported experiencing that contact. Many people have been aware of an inflow of insight. Therefore, just as a secretary's name is unimportant in a business transaction, so is my name and my identity unimportant. What is truly important is whether the reader can feel this is the authentic Christ who has risen in spiritual consciousness to the very portals of the equilibrium, while still retaining individuality in order to remain in contact with the world of individuality. Secondly, there has been division in opinion regarding the sometimes strange formatting of the letters. I would like to explain that as Christ impressed my mind with words or pictures which made it necessary for me to build up what I saw in words, I also felt the emotions to a certain degree that Christ felt when going through the events he is describing at this time. By dropping back into the vibrations of that time, Christ entered into those times and relayed them through my mind. There was no way that the letters could have been written in plain print or just using italics. So often when a new wonderful insight was put through my mind, I wondered, how can I get this across? You will know what I mean as you read the letters. And so, to show that some powerful statement had come from Christ's mind into mine, I used italics, dark print and capitals. People have complained that this unconventional formatting interferes with the flow of reading, but this is just the point. These letters are not meant to be read, they are meant to be pondered, and this means that you have to stop on the words in print which hold up the flow of the words and think about what the words are trying to convey to you. You must remember at all times that when Christ tries to reach your human intelligence, he is relating truths which go way beyond your own experience in life in this world. You have to reach into the infinite dimension in order to try to understand what you are being told. And so, if you spend half an hour pondering a paragraph with weird formatting, it is half an hour well spent if, gradually, your mind opens up to new possibilities beyond your present thinking. As you reach up in consciousness to Christ consciousness, asking for illumination, it will surely be given you. Not necessarily at that moment, but perhaps, wham, when you least expect it, the answer will come shafting into your mind, and you will know that yes, this is it. This is the true answer. Narrator's note. A special word on formatting. The recorder explains in the foreword that in order to show that some powerful statement had come from Christ's mind into hers, she used italics, emboldening, and capitals. Some may find this unconventional formatting interferes with the flow of reading. And this was actually the intention, because these letters are not meant to be read, but pondered. This means you have to stop on the specially formatted words and think about what the words are trying to convey to you. You have to reach into the infinite dimension in order to try to understand what you are being told. To honor the recorder's intention, all the emboldened words have a reverb effect added to them, and the words in capitals and italics will also be highlighted with a bell sound, 1 bell at the start of the phrase and 2 bells at the end. These sound effects will help to harmonize the recording with the text. I am also reading slowly to allow time to ponder the meaning behind the words. Introduction. Christ says, "I have come to rectify the misinterpretations placed on the teachings given when known as Jesus in Palestine 2,000 years ago." Christ also says, "Because people are on the threshold of a world crisis of enormous proportions, it is vital for survival that I, the Christ, should reach all who will listen. You know little of the true processes of creation in which you, yourselves, play a major role. It is imperative you should understand them sufficiently to enable you to embark on the implementation of a higher vision for all humanity. It is impossible for my spiritual consciousness to take on human form. To enable me to speak to you directly, I have deprogrammed and prepared a receptive, obedient mind to receive my truth and frame it in words. She is my recorder." Recorder's note. Before reading Christ's letters, you may want to know how this spiritual exercise of transmission of consciousness was achieved. The work of preparing me to become Christ's recorder began 40 years ago, when, as a committed Christian, encountering grievous difficulties as a farmer, and asking Christ for help, an unexpected forceful answer caused me to re-examine and discard all religious dogma. Enlightenment followed and clearly led in new directions of work and study. I founded a business dealing with people which flourished. For 7 years I enjoyed success and much happiness. To grow in spiritual understanding, I then went through diverse, very traumatic human experiences, and after much suffering, painfully and gainfully, learnt their lessons, then transcended them spiritually. One evening, in response to prayer for guidance, the presence of Christ became a reality, who gave me irrefutable proof of his identity. He spoke to me for an hour, sending strong waves of cosmic love through my body, and gave me a brief description of what I was to be taught and eventually achieve. A fortnight later, he led me through a transcendent experience of conscious union with God. I became a healer and instrumental in some instantaneous healings. From 1966 to 1978, at important points of my life, in response to questioning, Christ instructed me in spiritual scientific principles, now explained by Christ in his letters. In 1975, I experienced a night of visions describing events between 1983 and 1994, all of which came true. I was again told there would be work for me to do in the future. Eventually, after many and varied vicissitudes, always alleviated by my strong connection with Christ and my deepening understanding and personal experience of first cause, I was brought to my present home. Here I have lived an increasingly solitary life in the past 20 years, sometimes in clear and close contact with Christ, and sometimes left to strengthen my faith and patience in the spiritually dry periods. In the past 4 years, I have been led through mental-emotional purification, reaching my goal of perfect inner peace and joy. Christ has put me through a gradual but very clear refining process. When perfectly empty of self, malleable and receptive, the voice began its dictation and the letters began to take shape. These letters are entirely the work of Christ. Nothing in them has been derived from other literature, although in recent years certain writers have obviously drawn much of their own inspired insight from Christ's conscious radiation of truth. All those who are in harmony with his consciousness are greatly blessed. I am merely the recorder, nothing more.